Hi there, this is Sophia Kidd once again. I'm told that a lot of you have watched the video that we made last time of my first class of this new semester, Fall 2021, teaching Chinese culture. Speaking in Chinese and we speak in English, I usually try to stick to Chinese as much as possible. 好了，上课。这个课堂是一个很大的一个地方。But when I see that the students are game, I go ahead and throw in a little bit of English.
You think it should be interesting, and you're right, it will be very interesting.
A lot of you have asked some questions about what do I teach? How do I teach Chinese culture? So today we've invited the cameraman back into the classroom to take another look. We want to bring you back into our classroom and give you a bird's eye view of what we do. So here we go. Hi everybody. Hi. How are you today? I'm wonderful, thank you. All right, let's make sure that we are all here today. 张一凡，包世勋。我们可能我先讲一下，然后。So today's class, what we do is we divide it into 3 parts. And for the first part, I talk. And then for the second part, we have a group come up and talk about one aspect of the One Belt, One Road. And then we have another, for the third part, we have a group come up and talk about a Chinese classic. What happened to Hua Mulan? So we have an issue of cultural translation, right? What does cultural translation mean? Language translation 简单就是翻译，你把一个字，比如说 What's English for 下雨 ？Raining, right? Culture translation 它是比较深层次的翻译。When we talk about cultural translation, how do you take 最深层次的文化的意蕴翻译，从中文翻译成英文，或者从英文翻译成中文，包括感情，包括风俗，包括时间概念。因为我真想你们现在看这个 trailer。
Do you know why the phoenix
Today, for my part, I talked about a movie that was recently made by Disney in 2020. It was a rendition of Mulan, who is the 6th dynasty's young woman who went to war in place of her father because her father was a little bit too old and frail to go to war, although the emperor had decreed that every family had to contribute 1 male to go fight in the war. So she disappeared in the night and slipped off and went to fight in the army in the stead of her father. So it was an act of filial piety and devotion to her family.
Loyal, brave, and true. It is my duty to protect my family.
Ancestors, please protect her.
What is your name, soldier?
Hua Jun, Commander, son of Hua Zhou.
花木兰拍的就是真人的一部电影，然后他在国外的没有受到很热情的欢迎。What really happened with that movie was something that's called cultural mistranslation. So I think Hua Mulan had a problem with the cultural translation. And then there's also the problem of the cultural discount. Cultural is 文化 and discount 折扣. So when you read, 你看到或者阅读某一个文化产品， 你就觉得审美疲劳，因为你不懂，你也不想懂，因为觉得没意思。So cultural discount 有时候另外一个文化，他们收到了一个文化产品，他们就不知道怎么去理解，怎么看得懂。So that's cultural discount. 所以那个文化产品的价值就会变低。我看了好多视频，就西方人他们批评《花木兰》这部电影 ，and the worst part is they took out the Chinese language. 他们让演员用英语来拍这部电影。
Some say the phoenix is consumed by flame and emerges again.
Disney decided to give Mulan chi.
Your chi is strong, Mulan.
Others to take lines from the original poem, the Ballad of Mulan, 木兰辞, and the ending of the poem goes like this. 雄兔脚扑朔，雌兔眼迷离，双兔傍地走，安能辨我是雄雌 Disney may not know what a metaphor is and puts two crickets in the movie, but it missed the whole point of this metaphor. The female rabbit does not have to shout, I am a she!
They really loved watching a video review that I also threw into the PPT presentation for them. PPT means PowerPoint. I always say PPT in China. So I'm going to talk about what you said about 花木兰, the student feedback, which I was so happy to get your feedback. 这位学生说得很好。孝字的转译暴露出文化折扣现象。我看的音译都是说的孝就是 devotion for family， 所以因为翻译，所以我就误会。I am sort of talking about how Chinese culture shows up in other countries. So we are going to be studying how Chinese culture actually interacts in other countries and helps Chinese people and people in other cultures to understand one another. And so that's what we're going to be talking about on one hand, and on the other hand, I do what teachers generally do with this course, which is I teach Chinese classics. Okay, so our next group, 下一组先是过来讲史记，还是先过来讲一带一路？好，你们是什么题目？史记。好，我们先来听这个小组来讲史记。Let's give them a round of applause. Let's begin.
史记呢，它是中国历史上第一部纪传体历史，它不仅在当时有很重要的历史意义，在现今也有很重要的文学意义。
We are going to be having the entire body of students divided into a number of groups, and those groups will be giving presentations each week. What I found interesting today, there were two different main points that I really enjoyed the students talking about. The first was the first group, and they talked about the 天下观, which is the view of everything under heaven. So it's like a world view. Okay, 我就觉得这个小组是特别强调司马迁的一个思想，然后作为一个历史学家，就是要发挥他的思想的一个重要性，也做得挺好的。So here we have group number 2. Welcome. Let's give them a round of applause.
那个我就讲快一点啊，因为讲慢了就加不了分。
The second group chose to talk about it in terms of cross-cultural comparison and talked about the reception history of the text in the West.
侯贵先生呢，我们小组的他最重要的观点就是提出了这一个，他认为司马迁、孔子、秦始皇他们三个人是古代中国封建文化的缔造者。
史记的意义在海外一共分为3个阶段，目前史记一共有7个版本，分别来自美、中、英3个团队的翻译。
我把它总结成这样，就是东方可能更注重于直觉 intuition， 而西方它更注重于逻辑。这样的差异导致了这个学者对史记这个缺乏总体的认识。
这也是 中西文化以及不同语言之间交融碰撞的一个进程。
下一次就进行讨论两个小组的就是优势和就是缺点嘛。Okay, good to see you all. Thank you. Bye bye. The semesters here are rather long. They're longer than they are in America. The semesters here are 16 to 18 weeks long. 哇，那是好多次。I teach Chinese culture from a foreigner's perspective, and I think a lot of people outside of China today, when they're thinking about Chinese culture, are thinking about the global nature of Chinese culture right now.
Happy Teacher's Day!
China is rising to a position of great responsibility and power in the world. So these students, I think that if they can become aware that they're no longer just receiving culture from other countries anymore. They're no longer receiving American culture and European culture and British culture. Right now, they're actually bringing culture to those regions. They're helping people to recognize different sets of values, different cultural products, different movies, different aesthetic modalities. And so if the students understand the opportunities that they have to play a role in this great development, I think that it's going to help them in their careers later on.